Welcome back to the channel, and I've been working on my 2006 Nissan Sentra that I got on the Facebook Marketplace for $2,300. Now, $2,300 may seem a little steep for a 2006 Sentra with 145,000 miles, with a couple of dings and dents as you saw in the other videos, and it needed some love. But new tires, new battery, new alternator, and it ran really well, and overall it was in fairly decent condition. So now let's talk about and go over what we've done to it. So first off, while driving it, the brakes felt like junk. One of the biggest issues was that you hit the brakes and the wheel shaked. Our front rotors was warped. We needed new rotors and went ahead, popped in new rotors. That fixed the issue. Looked pretty good. I purchased the Power Stop rotors, and I will say this: if you're gonna buy them, don't buy the pads. And here's why. You buy the pads, they come with the hardware, but you can't use all the hardware with the pads. They have these anti-drag clips, and the anti-drag clips, you can't put them on the pads because the pads don't have the hole for it. It's really dumb. I don't get it. So luckily the pads on this were brand new. I guess whoever had this car was a pad slapper. They just popped in new pads, and well, works for me because those pads had the provisions for the anti-drag clips. Popped them in, good to go. So for the rear, pretty much went all new. New shoes, new drums. Also found while we were there that the rear wheel cylinders were leaking, so we had to go ahead and change them. Unfortunately, I had to pay the O'Reilly's price versus Rock Auto. Rock Auto has the same ones, way cheaper. They're like $10 a piece. O'Reilly's beat me over the head for $30 a piece. It is what it is. I just should have bought them. Just trying to save $1. The rear adjusters were seized, so I had to go ahead and unseize them, and well, putting everything together, now we have rear brakes. They stop, they don't grind, feel pretty good. And to kind of jazz it up, a little bit spray paint action. I really can't stand that whole rust, that whole flash rust that happens to the rear drums, so should be good on that. Another thing that I addressed, that dent back there, it was pushed in really good, and you can see the creases and the seams. Used the heat gun, was able to pop it out. Worked out fantastic. It's not perfect, but it's definitely better than what it was. On this driver side, I also had a nice dent in here. Used the basketball trick, and it worked great. Slid in the basketball, inflated it, and this popped right out. Looks a lot better. We still got a dimple here and there, and if I really wanted to go fancy and really hook this up, I could get a PDR kit and do it, but you know what? That's good enough. And our engine. New spark plugs, in which I was able to see that the engine is in good condition. There was none that were fouled or anything up. Cleaned the throttle body, mass airflow sensor, new air filter, cleaned up the grounds, made it kind of jazzed up the engine a little bit. And the biggest thing, a new motor mount. The other one was completely broken, and when you were driving the car, you just felt all types of vibrations and really bad at idle when you're sitting at a light. So with that, very confident my driving experience should be a lot better. And the transmission, went ahead and dropped the pan. Like I talked about in the other video, I didn't change the filter because one of the bolts, you have to drop the valve body just to kind of bolt it back in. Don't have a diagram on that. I'll revisit that, but drop the pan, change the fluid, clean the pan and the magnet. It was a bunch of stuff on it. 3.5 quarts, also substituted one of them for a bottle of Lucas. So hopefully, from what I've read, that should help a little bit with that hard shifting at first to second, and the transmission should feel a lot better. And for the fluid, went with Valvoline Max Life. Now the interior didn't do too much inside of here, just cleaned it, scrubbed the seats, wiped everything down, got rid of the funk of the old owner, and made it just look a lot better inside. Now I will be visiting a junkyard soon, and I'll probably do a video on that because we need a glove box. This seat, as you can see, is seen better days and very uncomfortable. I mean, the metal's right here. Don't know why that's broken, but we'll definitely have to get a seat for that. But I mean, that's all little small normal stuff that we'll need, and there's a whole bunch of other little stuff, you know, mostly clips and screws that the dealer charges you way too much that you could just get them for a couple of bucks at the junkyard. So that's the next goal with that. So now let's fire her up, go for a test drive, and see if all this work was worth it. Is the car way better, or well, does it have more issues? So the car feels really good. No hesitations or hiccups on it. And I forgot to mention, did change the PCV valve, so that is something to do. But sounds really good. And inside, no vibrations, so that's a huge improvement, especially since that motor mount was broken. So let's take it for a rip and see how she runs. All right, let's see how that shift is. Wow. I barely felt anything. So before, when you would shift, you would feel that push. I mean, it was kind of a hard push from first to second, and it feels really smooth. We just went from second to third. That feels smooth as well. Very nice, very nice. Not sure if it's the fresh fluid, the Valvoline, or the Lucas fix, but I mean, considering before, that is a big improvement. And from what I read, it should only get better. So that is definitely a plus. All right, let's give it a go. Nice smooth shifts. Car is not shaking. Accelerates very well. And how's the braking? Oh, that feels so nice. Steering wheel's not shaking, and I don't hear grinding or anything like before. So now I'm at idle. You barely feel the car. That motor mount was definitely the issue for all of my vibrations, so huge improvement on that. So if you're having major vibrations, check your motor mounts, especially that front one. So now let's take it up a little bit, get it up to a higher speed. And I'm just gonna give it just light acceleration. I'm not gonna push the car because this is just a daily driver. It's gone through all the gears nice and smooth. That 1-2 shift is a lot smoother. So that is a big difference on the car. Runs a lot better, and it gives me more security when driving it. One thing I hate is driving a vehicle that I haven't worked on, because number one, yeah, it may run and drive pretty good, especially something that's used with a lot of miles on it, or in this case 145,000 miles, but you don't know what's been neglected, abused, or just, you know, taken for granted. In this case, the rear wheel cylinders was a big thing. They were leaking. They could have gone any moment, and then if you're in a situation where you need the brakes and you gotta, you know, hit them in an urgent necessity, well, yeah, hopefully you'll stop. Sometimes you won't. So I'm glad that's addressed. That gives me more peace of mind, especially for me, especially for the missus when she drives around with the little human that I'm responsible for. So that is pretty awesome. Let's head back to the house, and we'll tally up how much I've spent and was it worth it. So for $2,300, I say I got a good deal. The stuff that I fixed with it is normal stuff that you're gonna have to fix with any used car. Brakes, a tune-up. I mean, the motor mount, that's just, it is what it is. But considering what I got, new tires, alternator, and a battery, off to a good start on it. So what I got into it, $2,300 for the car, and what I spent for brakes all the way around, tune-up, tune-up. What else did I get? Fluids, transmission stuff, motor mounts, was roughly $250. So $2,550, and I have a car that is squared away, runs good, will take me to point A, point B, and it's pretty reliable. Now, not all the time you're going to get that fortunate, as you could find cars that do need front end work and maybe an alignment and all that stuff. But when you're buying a used car, I say this: if the car runs really good, it needs a few issues, but it has, you know, good bones, such as good tires, and it runs really good, I would say that's probably one to negotiate, and it's worth probably getting. But in the case where you start adding it up, you pay $2,300, but you know, you're looking into tires and a whole bunch of big expenses, and to me the tires is the big expense, because that's about $400 right there. Something to consider when negotiating the price. but I'm very happy with it. I needed a car that was more fuel efficient, reliable, and something to get me back and forth around town without breaking the bank. So definitely comment down below, let me know your thoughts. Was it a good deal? Was it a good buy? Should I have walked away from it? So far I'm happy with it, and I'll keep tinkering with it. Also a fun little project. Thanks for watching, and I guess I need to go find something else to fix.